button. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmajaha Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Sri Valmiki Ramayana is considered to be a mighty, massive, forceful river that is rushing and moving with great momentum towards the great ocean called Sri Ramachandra. Every river is born somewhere, mostly in the mountains. So this river called Ramayana is born from the mountain called Valmiki. And anyone who's taking a dip in this river called Ramayana, the destination is Sri Ramachandra. Valmikir Girisambhuta Ramasagara Gamini. So we are, the Ramayana Mahanadi is a great river. Rivers bring to anyone along their banks a fertile soil on which civilization can survive. So human civilization is for the purpose of God realization, to realizing one's actual constitutional relationship with the Lord, in whatever form of the Lord one is attracted to. Since we are discussing Ramayana, the Lord of the heart is Sri Sita and Ramachandra. And this great river called Ramayana is supposed to take us to meet Sita and Ramachandra. Sri Hanumanji, who has just accomplished mighty tasks, the fact that he decided to jump across this ocean of 100 yojanas wide or width. He refused the hospitality of Mainaka. He, with great intelligence and presence of mind, faced off with Surasa, who was sent by the sages and the demigods. And with great strength and skill and expertise, killed Simhika, who tried to drag him down by capturing his shadow. And now Hanuman is back on his journey, very soon going to land on the shores of the northern side of Lanka. And before he gets there, the demigods and the other celestial beings who are witnessing all of this, because they're concerned, they're eager, will Hanumanji carry out the purpose by which Sri Ramachandra, who made this promise that he will take care of Ravana and the entire Rakshasa clan, will they be successful? Will it happen? And when they see Hanumanji doing what he has done, they are in a rapture of happiness and ecstasy. And they say this to Hanuman. Today's verse is verse 198 from the first chapter of Sundarakanda. Yasya tvetani chatvari vanarendra yathatava drishtir dhitir matir daksham sah karmasu nasidati. O Vanarendra, the king of or the ruler of all the Vanaras, or the best among all the Vanaras, Yatha tava yasya tva etani chatvari. Anyone who has these four, etani chatvari, qualities like you have, yatha tava, such a person, saha, karmasu, in all their activities, nasidati, will never be lost, will never be vanquished, will never fail, or they will always be successful. What are these four qualities? Dhritir, drishti, mati, and daksham, which we're going to focus on today. These four qualities for success. So let's go to word by word or phrase by phrase. Saha karmashu na sidati. Such a person will never fail in his or her activities, which means they'll always be successful. So one may say, why is it not spoken in the positive? Why negative, that such a person will never fail? Why not say will be successful? It is said that one may get a doubt that if it says one will be successful, one might think that, oh, okay, in general, one might be successful. Maybe once in a while, there might be failure. If not once in a while, at least once there must be a failure. And the great sages and the demigods are saying, no, na sidati, will never fail. There is no failure at all for a person who has these four qualities like Hanuman has. The question then is, one might say, I don't have these qualities. How do I get them? And therefore, they are giving an indirect hint in the verse, like you, O Hanuman. Like you means the more we meditate on Sri Hanuman, who has these qualities, then by his association, we also get the qualities. This is the simple principle of association. Someone we think about, someone we associate with, we get their qualities, good or bad. When we associate with those who are having what we say unfavorable qualities for bhakti, we pick them up. Prabhupada's famous quote was, you want to learn how to be a drunkard? Hang out with the drunkards. Bad company gives bad qualities. Good company gives good qualities. So when we recite, when we meditate, we speak, and we remember these qualities of Hanuman, lo and behold, these qualities begin to shine forth in us as well by Hanuman's grace. Now, one who's not spiritually inclined or devotionally inclined may also show these qualities. But for such persons, success is not always guaranteed. These four qualities must be always in association with dharma. Without dharma, as the platform on which these qualities need to be practiced, then there can be failure. There are great persons in history, who maybe showed these qualities, but if they were not dharmic, we find that somewhere or the other, there is a massive failure. So dharma is important, being situated in dharma. And how do we know Hanuman is situated in dharma? One, because the demigods kept referring to him as Mahatmana. They kept referring to him as Shriman. And they multiple times Valmiki told us Ramartham and Vanarartham. The purpose is for the pleasure of Sri Ramachandra. The purpose is in service for the Vanaras. In all of this, Hanuman is not doing anything for any selfish or personal reasons. This is exclusively for Ramachandra. There is absolutely no selfish objective for himself. He is jumping across the ocean. He's not going to gain anything. He's going to find Sita Devi, who's not his wife, is Ramachandra's wife. He's taking on Ravana and all of the Rakshasas when he has no enmity with Ravana in any way. But it is service. So no failure. Always win association with dharma. So let's look at these qualities. And because we're all students of Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll run them parallelly with Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and other Gaudiya scriptures where we get some insight into these qualities. The first one is dhriti. The word dhriti in English means courage, fortitude, perfection in knowledge, or determination, as we hear from Bhagavad Gita 18:43. We'll come there. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 24, verse 180, it says, Kimva dhriti shabde nija purnatadi jnana kaya dukha bhave uttama prapte mahapurna haya. Translation is, the word dhriti is also used when one is fully perfect in knowledge. When due to having obtained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has no material miseries, he attains Mahapurna, the highest level of perfection. So this word means perfect in knowledge. So when the demigods and sages are blessing or recognizing in Hanuman, we know that he has perfect knowledge. Now, perfect knowledge includes knowledge of matter or material science and spiritual science. Because in Isha Upanishad, we hear that both need to be developed side by side. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, right in the second chapter, says, Nasate vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Ubhayorapi drishtvantaha. One who knows these side by side, which means one who knows both. Then a person is considered fully intelligent. Tattvadarshi bihi. Such a person is called Tattvadarshi. In the Bhagavad Gita, the word for, or the meaning for the word dhriti is determination. And when describing Kshatriya qualities, Krishna describes to Arjuna that dhriti is one of the first qualities. Without being determined, one can never see their vision becoming successful. One who give up or let go or give in. Either you give up or give in. Either way, Krishna says one cannot find success in their endeavors. Dhriti also means courage. Courage is a a quality of the strength of one's heart, that they dare to have something that they think is unachievable, but they go after it. Now, when we speak like this, generally one may think, oh yeah, even in the material world, they say, get your goal, go for it, which is true. That requires dhriti. But what about that which is lies beyond matter, which lies beyond intelligence and the mental capacity? What if one aspires for that spiritual success? Takes courage to be able to say, I am steeped in matter. I have a severe bodily identification issue, mama and aham. Yet I aspire for that which lies beyond matter, that existence which lies way beyond matter, and one cannot get there easily. But I have the courage to think about it, and I have the courage to want it. That requires dhriti, or that is dhriti. Oftentimes, as a devotee or a practicing devotee, we may hear things of, oh, multiple lifetimes, and yet one cannot get, or this is impossible yet, and one may say, oh, this is not for me. Dhriti does not consider time as a factor. One who doesn't have courage, for them, time is a factor. Time in the sense, oh, I only have very little time. If it doesn't happen in a short while, even if it doesn't happen in 10 years and 20 years, I should give it up because I've given it a try. Dhriti means one stays on with the goal. Time is not a factor, however long it takes. That courage is required to have a vision for oneself in life. And that is called drushti. One's vision needs to be expansive. One needs to have the big picture always. What happens is the conditioned living being is very much focused on what is right here in the immediate. And because of the focus on the immediate, it is quite possible to lose sight of the big picture. And so we find strife, quarrels, annoyance, temporary failures, all looking very big because it is seen at this distance. But when this is seen in context of the full picture, it helps a person understand that, okay, failures or challenges are part of the path. They are not the destination. So not all victories are good, not all failures are bad. Some person recently, not a devotee, but they said it very nicely, that when they had failed, their father told them, failure is an event. It's not a person. Which means just because, let's say, we fail at something, and we may fail at it repeatedly, but if we fail at something, it doesn't mean we are failures. It's just the events are that. It's a great motivator. So big picture or long-term view, one should know, or one should think of, look at where I'd like my life to go further down at the time of death, for even further, next life. Where would I like my next life to be? So I look at what I am saying and doing and thinking today, because that's what's going to orient my trajectory. When one has a long distance to go, and if one deviates a few degrees, one might say it's just a few degrees deviation. But when you add distance to it, that few degrees of deviation actually ends up far, far away from the goal. And when is the big picture required? It is said that always during tough times, That's when a person needs to look at the big picture. Because that big picture is what we say our true north. It's our lighthouse that will help us put ourselves back on track. Is it possible we lose track? Absolutely. Because the waves of matter or material energy are meant to push one away from their spiritual goal. That's how it is. Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. We've heard from Srila Prabhupada the phrases Shreyas versus Preyas. Shreyas means ultimate welfare, long-term views. And Preyas is short-term benefits, short-term things. And people are so focused sometimes on short-term that they lose sight of the long-term. That's vision, drishti. Another meaning for the word drishti is vision in a different way. That what we see, we think as a reality. And what we see depends on the condition of the heart. And so when the condition of the heart changes, the vision also changes. There are two realities in the world. One is called Srishti, creation or a circumstance that has come about, and Drishti. Now, depending upon one's Drishti, the Srishti looks different. That means my worldview depends not on the circumstance, but on the condition of my heart or the condition of my consciousness. When my drishti changes, the same srishti looks differently. That's why people find opportunities even in bad circumstances. And some people, even in great circumstances, find no opportunity. The classic Vedic idea is about a snake and a rope. That when there is a piece of rope fallen on the street or somewhere, because of one's drishti, if there is fear in the heart, that rope looks like a snake. But if there is enlightenment, one may not be fooled of looking at it as a snake, but can see that it is a rope. It's the same thing, just looks differently to different people. Another meaning of the word drishti is conceptions. Drishti must be based on, or conception should be based on Shastra, scripture, or truth, actually, because scripture is truth. Otherwise, one's vision can be faulty. And this theme has been spoken multiple times in different ways. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, Krishna is describing the massive material existence, and he says that without a proper drishti, one will see only the tree and not the source of that reflection of that tree. One will see only the reflection. So he says, Utkramantam sthitam va api, bhunjanam va gunanvitam, vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So there are two persons. One is a jnana chakshusha, who sees through the eyes of scripture, and the other who has eyes but cannot see the reality. So he says, Vimudha na anupashyati. Anupashyanti, he is talking in plural. Vimudha na anupashyanti, pashyanti jnana chakshusha. But with eyes that have been trained by scripture, you can see reality. You can see beyond the veneer of illusion. And what is it? Utkramantam sthitam va api. The foolish living entity cannot see how the soul quits the body or how the soul enters the body. Bhunjanam va gunanvitam. Bhunjanam va, how the living entity inside the body is enjoying. How enjoying? By the flow of the three modes of nature. Guna anvitam. Anvita means to follow. Following the modes the living entity enjoys. Sometimes enters, sometimes quits the body. And a Vimudha cannot see this. But Jnana Chakshusha, by knowledge, one knows I am not this body. So Drishti comes from scripture. And one who doesn't follow scripture, one who doesn't read scripture, one who doesn't study or imbibe scripture, their Drishti does not develop. In Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 84, this is the Vedas speaking. Verse number 36. Chittasyo pashamo ayam vai kavibihi shastra chakshusha darshitaha sugamo yogo dharmaschatma mudavaha. Translation is, learned authorities who see through the eyes of scripture have demonstrated that this is the easiest method of subduing the agitated mind and attaining liberation. And that is a sacred duty which brings joy to the heart. Mud avaha, which avaha means to bring. Avahayami, I'm inviting, I'm bringing. Mud means pleasure. Atma mud, pleasure for the heart, is brought about. Shastra chakshusha darshitaha, one who sees life, circumstances, people around them, everything from the eyes of scriptures. Kavibihi darshitaha, the great persons or great thinkers have been able to see that chittasya upashamaha, the mind can be calmed when seen, when circumstance or life is seen through the eyes of scripture. Now, what if one doesn't see from the eyes of scripture? One doesn't have that drishti. Then Krishna is very quick to point out in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 23, Yah shastra vidhim uttrajya vartate kamakartaha. Na sa siddhim avapnoti, na sukham, na paramgatim. There's a similar verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also. Utpate eva kalpate. Such a person is just a nuisance to himself or herself and everyone around. Yah shastra vidhim utsrajya. One who doesn't follow scripture and just acts whimsically. Vartate kamakarata. This whimsical because the modes of nature are just pushing to react in different ways. And Krishna says, three things don't even come to such a person. Na siddhim avap. They cannot accomplish or become perfect in any of their endeavors. No sukham. So therefore one cannot be happy. And na param gatim, will never achieve the ultimate destination. Human life becomes wasted. For human life to become successful, drishti, through scripture, is the most essential. And that Hanuman has. Because he's very learned. As soon as he met Sri Ramachandra, the way he spoke, even Lord Ramachandra turned to Lakshmana and said, he is very accomplished in the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda and Sama Veda. Otherwise, one person cannot speak like this. So constantly Hanumanji is demonstrating how he sees everything through the eyes of scripture. He doesn't stand there and quote verses, but we know when he speaks where they come from. Next is Mati. Mati means intelligence or clear or steady mind. A person who has good intelligence, good morality is called Sumati. One who uses their intelligence for twisted or selfish purposes is called Kumati. Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi. That is Hanumanji. Kumati Nivara. He removes the bad mentality. Sumati Ke Sangi. And he becomes the associate of those who have good intelligence and good desires or clean desires. Sometimes Mati also means consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, This verse is Achirad eva sarvartha siddhyati esham abhipsitah saddharmasya avabodhaya esham nirbandhini mati. This is the instruction to Sanatan Goswami, where the translation says, those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who have thus unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. Very soon, achirat. Sarva artha, the goal of life. Siddhyati becomes successful. Remember, in this verse of today, Ramayana, the sages are also saying that those who have these four qualities, nasidati, means they'll always become successful. There will not be any failure. Esham, of these person, abhipsitaha, anything that they desire. Sat dharmasya, on the progressive path of devotional life. Avabodhaya, for understanding. Yesham nirbandhini matihi, they should have an unflinching intelligence. Intelligence is flinched by losing sight of purpose. So mati and drishti are connected, that as soon as the drishti is lost, mati becomes agitated. But if the drishti is clear, mati remains. Upasamya is under control. So anytime, the practical application, anytime our mind gets disturbed, agitated, we think of, how to calm my mind. Hanumanji is showing us that go back to the big picture of life. What is it that I want to attain from my life? That consideration of drishti. Who am I? I am Satchit Ananda, servant of the Supreme Lord. Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. Or Hanuman constantly says, Ramadasosmi. I am the servant of Sri Rama. What do I want from my life? These kinds of big picture vision, drishti, calms the mind. Mati. So this verse is from the Naradiya Purana and is also found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is what Prabhupada writes. Then another verse of Mati. Now this one is from our great hero Sri Prahlad Maharaj. Famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Matirna Krishne Paratah Svatova. Mitho Abhipadyeta Griha Vratanam. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Punaha Punaha Charvita Charvananam. He says, Adanta Gobi. Danta means to control. Danta. Adanta. Uncontrolled Gobi. Uncontrolled senses agitate the mind to such a degree that Matihi Svatova on his own cannot think of Krishna. Paratova cannot think of, even if others give great instructions and tell you all wonderful things, one says, my mind is still disturbed. Why? Griha Vratana. This Griha Vrata means that the objective of life remains only to see how I'm happy with my family, my children, my property, things that I have. And in that, I'm very happy. My life has absolutely no other purpose than to be happy at home. Nothing about using the human body for benefiting oneself spiritually or benefiting others in some way. Not being charitable, kind, giving, helpful. When one is not like that, he says, Matirna Krishna. One cannot invite the mind to Krishna or invite Krishna to the mind. So for Mati to be Sumati, it has to have the big objective. And finally, Daksham. And if you're noticing it, each quality is connected to the other. So they come as a package. This word Daksham comes from the word Daksha, or one who is skillful or expert. So Daksham has meanings: skillful, expert, or resourceful. Daksham is a noun, so it's not a person. So Daksham literally means skill or skillfulness, resourcefulness, or expertise. And a person who has this is called Daksha. Again, Daksham is a word used in the list of Kshatriya qualities in chapter 18, verse 43 of Bhagavad Gita. That a Kshatriya is very resourceful, very skillful. Resourceful, we'll come to discussing what resourceful would mean. First of all, it's one of the 26 qualities of a devotee given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Daksham. How is one's Daksham or a skill or expertise demonstrated? Such a person has a very good problem-solving ability. They can look at a complex problem and break it down to simple sub-problems and solve them. In fact, I come from a marketing background, and one thing we're taught is to verbalize the problem is 50% of the solution. Most people cannot tell what the problem is. They will say this and that, but they cannot hone in into the problem. So it requires great skill, which requires good, clear intelligence, which requires a big picture view to be able to verbalize what the problem is and then finding the solution for it. Daksham also means the ability to strategize. And to do strategy, one always needs big picture. Otherwise, you cannot do strategy. What is called strategy is only a tactic, an action that doesn't have the backing of a bigger picture in the back. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text number 50, Krishna gives an idea of what this Daksham using intelligence looks like. He says, Buddhi yukto jahahita, Buddhi yukto jahati iha, ubhe sukruta dushkrute, tasmat yogaya yujyasva, yoga karmasu kaushalam. Another word that means the same, or a synonym of Daksham, is Kaushalam. Kushala means welfare or doing well. Kaushalam is skill or resourcefulness. So Krishna is saying another meaning of the word Kaushalam is artful. Very artful is not artistic. Artist is one who's creative. Artful means one is good, creative, intelligent in bringing things and using what's there for finding success in what they're trying to do, even when most resources may not be available. They're very good at making do with what they have and making something wonderful out of it. Some people need all the resources first before they can do anything. And some people are very good with whatever minimal resources they have, and they make those resources bring more resources. That is called Kaushalam. Krishna is telling Arjuna, be creative. Karmashu Kaushalam. Be very creative. Be artful in the way you act in this world. And how do you do that? Yogaya yujyasva yogaha. You connect artfully on the path of yoga and use your intelligence, buddhi yuktaha. And jahati iha. In this world, you can remove all the obstacles that you have. In the purport, here's what Prabhupada writes. Discretion is the better part of valor. This is another purport, sorry. This is from a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 15, verse 24. Prabhupada in this lecture says, discretion is the better part of valor. And one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yoga karmasu kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing things perfectly, which the word is daksham. So the sages are telling us, when they say Hanuman has daksham, that Hanuman's every act, every thought, every word has the pleasure of Sri Ramachandra at heart. And because that pleasure of Ramachandra is at the center of his heart, every activity becomes very artfully engaged. And I'll end with a beautiful story of Haridas Thakur. On an Ekadashi in Jagannath Puri, Haridas Thakur was offered a big plate of Jagannath Mahaprasadam. So apparently in Jagannath Puri, they don't follow Ekadashi because Jagannath eats 56 times in a day. So on Ekadashi, they don't say no rice, no grains, nothing. For Jagannath, no such rules. So they don't follow. Haridas Thakur was residing in Jagannath Puri. He's a follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's strict instruction was to follow Ekadashi. So on an Ekadashi day, some devotees brought Jagannath Mahaprasadam for Haridas Thakur, a full plate. Now, there are rules that say on Ekadashi one should not eat grain. There are also rules that say that one should not say no to the Lord's Mahaprasadam. And therefore, there are no times, no conditions for receiving prasadam. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was given prasadam, when he was woken up from bed, he had not even brushed his teeth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him prasadam. He accepted with both his hands and ate it immediately. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed, "Oh, Sarvabhauma, you who were so strict with rules and regulations and snanam and achaman and sandhya and only then eating, now you're accepting prasadam like this?" And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, "You have awakened me to the understanding that when the grace of the Lord comes my way, I cannot put conditions to it." Now, that doesn't mean everyone will eat without shower. That's not the point. That whatever is one's regime is fine. But the point is, when prasad comes, there are no conditions to say no to it. So now Haridas Thakur is faced with this dilemma. And this is where Daksham, his Lord is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His Lord is also Jagannath, who's also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he has to always consider the pleasure of the Lord. So Haridas Thakur accepted the plate of prasadam and started reciting the glories of prasadam, like we recite before consuming it. But Haridas Thakur did not recite only one prayer. He kept on praying because there is a rule. You have to offer prayers before you, as we say, honor prasadam. We have to honor it. And honor means to express stotra. So Haridas Thakur went on singing one prayer after another, glorifying prasadam, and went on up until Dwadashi had arrived, and it was the time for breaking the Ekadashi fast, and that's when he accepted it. This is Daksham, that he did not violate any rule of Shastra, either on this side or on that side. And that's what it takes to consider the pleasure of the Lord. What would please the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What would please Jagannath? What would please Sri Ramachandra and the Lord of our heart, whoever that form of the Supreme Lord is. That brings a person into the realm of a good dhriti, drishti, matirendakshan. So let's see if there are any reflections, questions, comments, thoughts. You have your own experiences that I'd love to share. Please, I'm all open.
Hare Krishna.
I'm here.
Hare Krishna. I just joined for the last few minutes, so I was very happy to hear that anecdote of Haridas Thakur, and a couple of things with that. One is I got reminded of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj somehow when I heard Haridas Thakur kept offering prayers after prayers to Mahaprasad. There's one very wonderful kirtan which I'm not able to access, but Bhakti Chauri Swami Maharaj, he did the prasadam prayers, and after that, he launched into a Hare Krishna kirtan. After that, it just was flowing so much. That kirtan was so wonderful after the Mahaprasadam prayers. So I got reminded of that actually. So uh, that's one thing. And then I also got reminded of this Bhagavatam story of Arjuna being asked by Krishna and Bhima to kill Ashwatthama, and Draupadi Nitishthara said, "Don't kill." And Arjuna was very expert. He took off the jewel of Arjuna and simultaneously killing him and not killing him. So my takeaway from this is I may not have the Dakshyam, the expertise, but I want to understand who has the Daksham, who is powerful in terms of being a Vaishnava, and see if I can serve such a person. So that's what I wanted to appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivram. And that's exactly how we started the verse from today, Ramayana. The sages are saying, anyone like you who has these qualities. So we started with like you means we receive these qualities from Sri Hanuman.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Bye, Papa.
Hare Krishna, nice to see you.
I heard you giving class.
Yes.
I have a Ramayana book at home.
She has a Ramayana book at home. That's what
Oh,
she says.
wow. Wow.
It's a Hari book. Okay, somebody else may have a question.
Okay. Anyone else has a question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Kirti here.
Yes, Kirti.
Thank you for the nice class. So the verse said that someone who has the four qualities will not fail. And I'm just trying to verbalize to make sure that I understood what success means. The success there is that one has to be always working for the pleasure of Krishna.
Yeah. It also means success in one's worldly activities. But worldly activities are considered successful when they have connection with the ultimate purpose. Otherwise, they're scattered events. When a person doesn't see connection between their work, their family, their recreation, and the ultimate goal of life, then they always are in worry of one at the cost of the other.
And the success here, does that mean like the long-term success, which is the ultimate goal, not necessarily the interim short-term?
Hanuman didn't fail interim short term either. Both. Think big. Both. There may be temporary setbacks. That's not considered a failure if one knows and sees them as a setback in the grand journey and not in and of themselves completely isolated.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Well, Kirti, are you done?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu. Next.
I'm Santana Goparaj. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that by doing devotional service perfectly, you can acquire the 26 qualities automatically. These 4 qualities which we have mentioned, will a devotee get if he does the devotional service perfectly? Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Depends on our definition of devotional service perfectly. Meaning the rituals perfectly? No. Because there's only part of it. Yadi bahujanma kare yadi shravana kirtana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if one can continue the hearing and chanting for many lifetimes, but if the heart is not oriented with loving affection for the supreme couple, then na paye prema dhana, one is not successful of getting the wealth of prema. The heart needs to be involved. That is perfection, not just the rituals alone or by themselves. So I don't know what your definition of doing devotional service perfectly means.
Like unoffensive chanting, pure chanting, like that.
Yeah, sure. Chanting with feelings, sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Oh, there's too many people. Go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna.
Yes, go ahead. I mean, whoever.
Yeah, this is Madhav Priya.
Yes,
I,
Madhav.
I just missed listening to the 4 qualities. So can you just name them once again?
Dhriti, which is courage. Drishti, which is vision. Mati, intelligence or a subdued, controlled mind. And Daksham, skill or resourcefulness. I sent the verse in the Ramayana WhatsApp group, so you have that verse for yourself.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next one. Someone else was speaking while Madhav Priya was speaking.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Sarvamadas. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, couple of points and one question. So, very nice class, Prabhu. Wonderful details you have given. The point is just to appreciate Srila Prabhupada as he has many expertise. But one point comes like he cooked and around 10 preparations in 40 minutes, just telling beforehand that I am going to achieve it, and he did it. Another point is one time he was told that, as you say, that always chant, but he was supervising some construction work and all. And then he said, okay, somebody said, you said always chant, but now you're talking something else. So how can I understand that? Then he said, you just come closer and hear that. That person could hear that he was still chanting. So I was just trying to correlate that, and that's why I want to have clarification, because the Haridas Thakur's story you have told. So it seems like Haridas Thakur was chanting overnight. So, how he was managing those 192 rounds seems like similar kind of, he was able to do chanting along with that. So just wanted to have this.
I don't know if he was doing simultaneously, but yeah. He was glorifying the holy name and glorifying the Lord. That is Kirtana. So, how? I don't know. I don't know the mechanics of it.
Thank you.
I think Jagdanda Prabhu had something to say.
Jagdananda Prabhu's here?
Well, I joined
Yes.
today.
Oh my gosh. Hari Bol. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I just
Wow.
joined.
What an honor.
Oh no, it's my privilege to be here. Nice. Well, Madhava Priya already asked my question. I joined a little late, so I heard from Drishti Drishti, then Mati, and Daksha. So I was wondering about the fourth one. So thank you, Mother Priya. And my next question was, you mentioned about Drishti and Mati, both of them coming mostly from, actually, especially the Drishti coming from scripture. But so where does one get all these four things? You mentioned devotees, association. So can you explain a little bit about these four things, where one may get them?
This is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. You already know the answer. But
No.
anyway, thank you for turning the topic with me. We sing every morning, Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya, that the spiritual master is receiving all of these great qualities from the ocean of auspicious qualities, the Supreme Lord. And just as there is water in the ocean, but can only be accessed by people on land in the form of rain. Takes from the salt ocean, but gives fresh water rain. So how does one receive any qualities? Is the power of association. The living entity has by nature these qualities. In the presence of association, these qualities manifest. Like when an iron rod is brought close to fire, because it has latent fire, and the fire that is next to it brings out that latent heat out into external manifestation. By coming close to fire, we feel warmer. Similarly, by the association of great Bhagavatas, in this case, we're talking particularly about Hanumanji, by associating with Sri Hanuman, that is, by hearing about him, thinking about him, serving his purpose, we receive his grace, and the grace comes in the form of these qualities, the vision that we have. But when we study scripture, yes, we get knowledge. But the real drishti is awakened by the grace of whom we receive scripture from. So we say, Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam. Unmilita is to open, that the sound of the spiritual masters, in plural, voices, opens the eyes of the heart to be able to see this world and the other world in reality. Is that what you were trying to churn out, Jagadananda Prabhu? But please add.
Yeah. I was, because I was joined in the middle. I think I missed the beginning part, which you did refer to at the end. You referred to the verse of Hanuman. The sages are glorifying Hanuman. So I missed that part. Yeah. And so what you're speaking is, when we hear that we receive the Bhakti Lata Bij, so this Bhakti Lata Bij, in one sense, it has all these things that you're mentioning. So all those things are a gift from the pure devotee, and which we need to nurture, and it is also nurtured in the association of devotees. Seems like that.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. And one other thing, again, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar or anything like this. You were mentioning something about this being a person, this being a noun, this being a verb. So what was the import of that?
Oh, because I said daksham, and I said skillful.
Yeah.
It's not correct. Daksham is skillfulness. Daksha is skillful. That's all I didn't want to misspeak, so I corrected myself.
Right, but is there like noun or a verb or a person? Is there something about that also?
No. I wrongly said daksham is a skillful person. And I said, no, daksham means skillfulness. Daksha is a skillful person, like that. I just
Okay,
edited
okay,
that.
okay. All right. Okay. And then while just a side comment.
No,
So
please.
because we were talking about prasadam, I had just offered to the deity Dadashi prasadam, and I was ordering the upma while we were eating, while we were hearing.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't catch Sarvabhauma Prabhu's question. I didn't catch his question. I didn't
His
understand.
question was, Haridas Thakur was chanting all day. How was he reciting all prayers? So was he simultaneously doing both? I said, I don't know the mechanics of it. I see this as glorification of prasadam, as part of the glorification, that kirtana in the broader sense. But if you have insight, please.
Well, I have been thinking about this quite a bit, actually. Not just Haridas Thakur, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi Suni Chena Tarorapi Sahishtuna, right? That verse, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. So as you were mentioning, the word Kirti, essentially it comes from glorifying the Lord. And so if we take that word to be literally, that chanting the holy names, of course, we can take that also. But if we take that literally only, then are we saying that we don't have an option then to glorify the Lord 24 hours?
Exactly.
That's a problem with that. So the Kirtaniya means, so like in our stage, chanting 16 rounds, as you're saying, and then the other activities that you do, that you were mentioning, that is the Kirtan of the Lord. So Kirtan is not something that we just do and with a harmonium and with a bead bag. Kirtana is just it's glorification of the Lord.
Yes.
By this class you're glorifying. So this is part of the Kirtana. And then how you do your work and how you deal with your wife and children and everything else. So everything is for the glorification of the Lord. So yeah, we are not on the stage where we can chant 24 hours a day, but doesn't mean that we can't glorify the Lord 24 hours a day. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very eloquently spoken. Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Such a wonderful class. Just one quick question. You said at the end, application point, like whenever our mind get distracted, then go back to big picture. So like that, drishti will calm the mind like that. So can you elaborate little more? How I can see the big picture in the tough times, mind distractions and like.
A worldly example. Thank you, Madhavi. Wonderful question. In the world, in general, there is something called muscle memory. Muscle memory is done as practice so that it becomes nature, second nature in a way that one doesn't have to think too much. I'll give you a little scary example and then more. If you see in America, you've been here, if you noticed, when the police walks up towards a car, they without too much thinking, their hand goes to the gun holster that they have on their hip, or because it's part of the reflex that they're just trained that way. If you look at anyone who practices, let's say tennis, someone plays tennis, when they are in a very intense point, they're playing a point and there's rally, ball going back and forth. It's not that they are actively thinking, now I should hit this backhand stroke in that side of the court. It is just that from practice and practice and practice, when they're not playing a match, they're actually practicing 8 hours, 10 hours a day, that when the ball is in such a place, their hand naturally goes to such. Similarly, I mean, I'm not saying muscle memory as if this is some skill to learn, but similarly, we practice seeing the big picture every day when there are no difficulties. So this every day, in some languages we call them affirmations, or whatever is your method, every day consider the big picture of life. Recently, we spoke in Naperville, where one of the examples we gave is every day, as soon as you open the altar, as you finish Achaman, before you approach the deity, one thinks, I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya or a Shudra. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis. Gopi bhartur pada kamalayor dasa dasanudasa. This is the big picture. This is the everyday big picture. So that when difficulties come, our mind and intelligence and heart naturally are used to, I'm a servant of the Lord. And I approached my problems or challenges from that perspective. And it takes practice. It takes practice when the going is good, so that when the going gets tough, we have that, what I'm calling muscle memory. Rupa Goswami says spontaneous attraction. And spontaneous attraction comes from practice. Vaidhi sadhana brings raga. Raganuga sadhana, if you want. So practice, I'm not asking you, I'm just saying we all, every day, multiple times a day if required, consider the big picture of life. All right, Madhavi? Okay, someone put something on the chat. Oh, Jagdana Prabhu, thank you for the quote from Bhakti Siddhanta, the beautiful one of Drish, one who is the seen and the seer.
Seer and the seen. This is a little high language, but you can explain it. Yes, because the topic is with Drishti.
Sure, I have another question there. The question says, was Hanuman born with these qualities or did he cultivate them? The answer is both. In one sense, everyone is born, the soul has these qualities. Hanumanji was trained by Surya Dev. He learned Nava Vyakarana, 9 types of grammar from Surya Dev. So in that sense, one may wonder, oh, well, I was not born with it, so I am off the hook. Actually, everyone one takes birth 2 times, one biologically and the other, we say, spiritually, or we take birth by the Vedas as the mother and the spiritual master as the father. And only a human being, when they have the second birth, obviously then the qualities need to manifest, because that act of being born again, like born again Christians, we born again means one takes on the spiritual path seriously. I'm encouraging everyone, requesting, please go to the chat where Jagdanda Prabhu has given the beautiful write-up of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur about the seer and the seen. So please make a copy and keep it, or I don't mind sending it on our WhatsApp group as well.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, any final something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Please accept my obeisances.
Keep going. Yes.
Prabhuji, actually, I like on the Drashti vision we are discussing. So it was very nice to hear about Drashti. Like with the Drashti, the Shashti looks different. So my question is an understanding is like Drashti will keep evolving with our understanding and with when our consciousness grows, and also like when our consciousness is not properly situated, or we are at the depth of the bhakti or down curve, then we'll not be able to distinguish properly. So is that like on and off, like and with devotion, like Drashti would keep evolving towards the right means?
Yeah, but it's not on and off in that way, not so analog. When let's say it's on the downward curve and we are not able to see things properly, thankfully, we have at least one friend who can tap us on the back or nudge us and say, look at it this way. And it allows for that drishti to awaken again. And hopefully we have such friends who will not hesitate from telling us, maybe you should see it that way. Maybe here's another view of looking at it. Here, maybe study this section of scripture, maybe meditate on that pastime, that personality to revive that drishti back, or to cultivate or evolve that drishti. But does it flicker? Sure.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
All right. Anything else? Okay. Very good. Thank you. And we'll meet again next week. We'll discuss Hanumanji entering Lanka. Hare Krishna. May this wonderful Sri Hanumanji give us, bless us with these wonderful qualities, Dhriti, Drishtir, Mati, Daksham, so we may traverse through life and its circumstances, its challenges, its ups and downs, in such that our heart is focused on service and our wonderful, sweet relationship with Sita and Ramachandra and all their wonderful associates and servants. Shri Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman